We live in an age that prizes safety above all else. We wrap childhood in foam and warnings, and in doing so we often mistake absence of harm for the presence of strength. But strength is not produced by avoidance. It is forged in the friction of experience. According to Peterson, the injunction to do not bother children when they are skateboarding is not a literal defense of every reckless stunt. It is a manifesto for the necessity of risk and the formation of competence, courage, and character. Think of the skateboarder, bruised, stubborn, triumphant. To an anxious onlooker, the scene looks dangerous. To the child, it looks like practice for life. When a child learns to fall and get up, they are learning a lesson practically identical to every adult lesson worth knowing. How to endure, how to try again, how to measure risk, and how to refine skill. Peterson points out that if things are made too safe, people, including children, begin secretly to reintroduce danger, because danger is the medium in which mastery grows. Shelter, unchecked, creates fragility. We must be honest about why we interfere. Often our intervention is not pure care but fear. Fear of judgment, fear of regret, fear of being blamed. Those fears are natural, but they can metastasize into a culture of coddling that stunts growth. Psychologically, overprotection transfers risk aversion to the child. It teaches avoidance rather than competence. The irony is bitter. In trying to protect them from a scraped knee, we may leave them exposed to a life of timidity when the real storms arrive. Stoicism gives us a compass here. The Stoics taught that what matters is not the thing that happens to us, but the muscle of response we develop. Marcus Aurelius urged endurance. The acceptance of necessary difficulty is a school for the soul. Allowing someone to confront manageable danger is an act of faith in their capacity to respond. It is a gift of agency. We help by enabling learning, not by insulating others from the conditions that make learning possible. This is not cruelty. It is responsibility. We prepare people for reality by letting them touch it. Let me tell you a story. A neighborhood park once had an obstacle course for kids, ramps, rails, the rough, honest apparatus of play. Concerned residents petitioned to remove the equipment after a few falls and complaints. The park was sanitized. The kids were moved to padded playpen. Months later, the same community was astonished when a sudden flood required ordinary people to act courageously. Neighbors had to climb, lift, and coordinate under pressure. Those who had been allowed to play rough as children moved faster, climbed higher, and kept their heads. The ones raised to seek only safety hesitated. The lesson was plain. Small practiced risks seed practical competence for the unexpected. Psychologically, there is another truth. Our moral outrage at perceived dangers often masks our own cowardice. We criticize risk because it makes us uncomfortable. We ban skateparks because they confront us with our own limits. Projection operates here. We displace our anxiety onto the world and call it protection. Peterson says as much when he argues that overprotected children will fail when something dangerous, unexpected, and full of opportunity suddenly makes its appearance. Name the fear, own the fear. Then ask whether your reaction creates strength or weakness. So how do we act with virtue and prudence? There are 3 Stoic practical rules we can adopt, not to romanticize danger, but to cultivate capability. First, permit calibrated risk. Distinguish between reckless endangerment and structured challenge. A skateboard ramp supervised, with basic safety practices taught, is not the same as gross negligence. We invite risk that is proportionate to development, the kind that builds skill rather than destroys it. Second, teach competence, not protection. Show how to fall, how to assess, how to prepare. Teach small, repeatable steps. Competence is not conferred by rules alone, it is acquired by practice and correction. Third, own your fear, then step back. If you feel the urge to stop someone from trying, interrogate that urge. Ask, am I acting out of responsibility or out of my own anxiety? Act from responsibility. When anxiety is the motive, restrain yourself and allow the learner to act. Peterson's point is existential as well as practical. Adolescents and young people need the chance to test themselves, to fail, and to discover what they are capable of. This is how meaning is found. To sterilize that process is to deprive them of real opportunity. To interfere too early is to harden the environment of safety into a prison of dependence. This is not an endorsement of recklessness. It is a demand for courageous prudence. It asks us to be brave enough to admit that life contains danger and wise enough to teach how to meet it. It asks parents, teachers, and communities to calibrate their care so that it produces resilience rather than fragility. We speak together now as citizens of a shared fate. Let us choose to prepare rather than protect, to educate rather than forbid, to show rather than shield. Let us give the next generation the tools to meet the world, not by escaping risk, but by mastering it. That is the antidote to a culture of timid comfort, not abandonment, but disciplined liberty. As Peterson reminds us, we are not preserving children when we smother their trials. We are denying them the very ground on which character grows. Let us have the courage to loosen our grip, the wisdom to teach, and the discipline to let competence arise. In that balance lies a society that is both humane and strong.